Jimmy, I'm great. Thanks for the great intro. I can't wait to hear Tom Tancredo. I haven't talked to him in a while. I should give him a call. Wonderful man and great insights. So I'm excited for your show. I've been listening the whole time as I usually do.
Well, Tom Tancredo wants to talk about wimpy Republicans out there, and doggone it, we could probably do an entire week of shows on wimpy Republicans. We're watching this in some of the election recount. Republicans don't seem to have a lot of intestinal fortitude. We see that in the great state of Colorado. Give me your thoughts. Donald Trump, obviously, not a perfect man, but he at least was a fighter and at least didn't mind taking on some of the issues that other Republicans would back away from. It seems as if people would want to kind of take even the way he campaigned. I wish Cory Gardner would have followed that different kind of a campaign. But Republicans kind of like to get back into their milquetoast routine, and I call it the country club class. Give me your thoughts, the future of the Republican Party.
Well, I'll tell you, you're correct about a lot of that. And I'm just reading, I sent you a couple articles, but just take a look at, this is Wyoming. People are conservative. John Barrasso writes an op-ed scathing about Schumer and what he's done to block the appointments of Donald Trump over and over. It goes on. It's 1,200 words. Then he gets to the conclusion. And Jimmy, you're reading it like the conclusion is going to be, so you know what? Screw you, Chuck Schumer. If we don't, whatever you do, we're fighting against you. No, here it is. He's already expecting Biden to be the president. And if Republicans hold the majority in the Senate next year, we'll have the ability to reject Biden's nominees. Unlike the Democrats, will use that power responsibly. A Republican Senate will treat mainstream nominees fairly. The conclusion is always, for these people like John Barrasso, a disaster. It should be, you did this, you're never getting anybody on any of, we are not appointing any of your appointees. We're not okaying any of them. By the way, they're all the most pro-China people that anybody's ever seen. Every one of Biden's appointees to cover his butt. It gets worse, Jimmy. Here's John Ratcliffe, supposedly the most conservative member of Congress when he was in Congress. He is still the U.S. Director of National Intelligence. I watched him speak about the op-ed he wrote. He's a very nice man. He goes through China, communist China, like nobody else, he says, has the information that John Ratcliffe has in the world. China's stealing U.S. defense technology. China's suppressing U.S. web content. China's actually using biological tests on its own people. China has 1 million people in concentration camps. China, right? And what's his conclusion? Oh, that's right. There's no policy recommendation. There's nothing, Jimmy. The article ends, his time on Maria Bartiromo ends with nothing. Nothing. Tom Cotton is calling it Communist China, as I told everybody in the show, since March. He finally called it Communist China. Does he want to stop trading with them? Oh, no, not that. Are the drugs now being made in America, Jimmy? Are American drugs that people are taking, listening to the show right now to survive, to get over injuries, are they made in America or at least Puerto Rico or North America or Canada or Mexico, somewhere where we have some giant control over? No, Jimmy, they are not. So how about this one, by the way? Education. We know that 25% of the kids are not even tuning in. We know the public schools have totally failed us, right? And so where is the issue to grab a hold of right now about public schools? To either de-emphasize them, unfund them, move to more charter schools, a nationwide Republican movement? How many minority parents do you think would jump on board if the National Republican Party's mission, and the president, if he leaves or stays, is speaking directly about what's happened to education, because every parent got it stuck in their face by teachers' unions across the country. The teachers' unions that in Chicago that still support Venezuela, they do. They go to Venezuela and visit, by the way, that still want to get paid the same amount for teaching less kids. They want the unionized bus drivers to not drive anybody but get paid the same amount. They want raises this year. They don't want to teach. They're scared of getting the Chinese virus, and on and on and on. Where are the Republicans on phase one trade policy with communist China? Back to that. They're not doing anything. It's December. Are they going to buy 1,700 million barrels of bushels of soybeans? They are not. By the way, Hong Kong. The president put out a thing today about he's going to sanction 14 senior Chinese leaders. Oh, it's the heaviest blow aimed at Beijing. 17 senior. What? So we as Republicans better grab a hold of issues, and this education one, to go at it, even over China, is the number one issue that you could grab votes with over the next couple of years. And I don't see it happening anywhere. Do you listeners? Is anybody?
No, I don't. It used to be a story. This had appeared in the local paper, the Fort Collins, Colorado, and headline used to be a photo shoot of it. China trade surplus hits a record $75 billion. Their surplus with America, a record $75 billion as their exports are soaring. And again, Steve, a lot of folks want to talk about China. President Trump talks a lot about China, but nobody seems to have the cojones or intestinal fortitude to actually do anything about that trade deficit that we have and that surplus that they have. They're getting richer, and we're not, as far as the trade with China goes.
Yes, and I sent you that article, I guess, this morning or last night. But, I mean, the president talked about this for 4 years, going to do something about it. But their trade surplus just hit a record $75 billion of exports. Now, they're the country that invented the Chinese virus, sent it around the world, destroyed other people's economy. Mostly, by the way, we reacted to it. Don't get me started. I mean, we talked about that. But they shut down their economy and then brought it back, and they operate in a total communist, totalitarian regime, which is what they want to have control over the world. That's their stated goal, control the world. And what have we done about it? Have we told all the American companies, at least the ones with high-tech implications, to leave the country? Have we put tariffs on all products coming out like that at 100%, at 200%, at 400%, so they actually leave the country? Nope, we haven't done that. We're arguing over grain. I can't believe I'm even saying this on TV, about the most powerful country in the world, right? Are we arguing over, does anybody know what's even going on with our national defense? Does anybody even know? How many submarines do we have? Do people know that the military and the Navy of Communist China is now bigger than America? Does everybody remember when they tried to land a plane on one old purchase from, I think, the old Yugoslavia aircraft carrier? And I said then, guys, it's not going to take them long to figure this out. This isn't genius stuff. They'll steal it from us and they'll build it. That's what they're doing. And now, Jimmy, you have a child. I've got 6. Now, our children around America are going to have to get ready for a fighting war, because it's more than likely that this ends in a fighting war. And why aren't the Republicans all gathered around, uniting Japan, Australia? Australia is getting tariffs put on them and getting totally tortured by trade by Communist China, because they think they got them around the you-know-what. Same thing up in India, where there's actually been fighting and people killed. All these people should unite now the way we did against the Soviet Union. And no one seems to be doing it. By the way, the president's not doing it. But as the Republicans want to win, these are the giant issues of our time. There are many more. And solving this education problem, both at the level of college all the way down to high school and elementary school, is how we fight back. But what do we have? We have depressed kids sitting around, parents who don't seem to know how to educate them. The Wall Street Journal is still running new articles about the $1.7 trillion in student debt, where parents are continually saying, I sent my kid to Joe Blow University. It was $55,000. On the front page, the lady lived in Toledo. Why didn't she send him to the University of Toledo for 10 grand? I mean, this is madness. And what's about to happen, probably starting tomorrow with the CPI number, is that all the money put into the system by Republicans who help Democrats is going to cause inflation finally. And they're going to have a weak dollar. And that's how they truly screw the middle class. You have a weak dollar, higher inflation than growth, and you do it for 20 years, and you hope no one notices. That's what happened in 71. It's starting to happen today. I said it on your show in March. It's happening. It's about to happen. It's going to happen. And Republicans are allowing it to happen. By the way, which Republican fought for the lady who thought the gold standard was good to be on the Federal Reserve Board? She's not getting on. Nobody fought for her. Not one Republican fought for a lady who thought the gold standard at one point in her life was a good idea.
Steve Laffey, my guest, his website, stevelaffey.com, Laffey, stevelaffey.com. Steve, you sent me an article I want you to unpack for me and looking at it now. Headline: DoorDash prices their initial public offering, the IPO, is looking pretty good. Give me your thoughts. DoorDash, of course, one of the delivery companies that have delivered food to everybody since restaurants are relying on DoorDash and Grubhub. But their IPO is I guess you'd have to say quite impressive, or do we say that?
Well, yes. I mean, what I say of someone who's lived through I started my career in the 1987, April of 1987 out of Harvard Business School. And I was at Payne Weber. And so I watched the crash. And I watched everything going up, and the interest rates were going up. This is and I was like, wait a second, I just learned about the CAPM pricing model. Why aren't people more in bonds and stocks? But there was a mania, and it ended. Now, there wasn't a recession or anything about that. It was just a crash. But then we watched over time all these things start to happen where the Federal Reserve got more involved to today, another Republican issue. And the reason I send you DoorDash, it's just that here's a company that doesn't make any money last quarter on $830 million of sales. So they deliver all this food to people. By the way, I don't even know why people would want food. We know 35% of the food you get delivered to your home, someone took a bite out of. We know that for a fact. The guy delivering the food, if it's not a pizza, see, it's hard to take a bite out of a pizza, right? But if it's some kind of Chinese food, he's taking a bite, right? Or he's eating one of the fries or something, right? Totally disgusting. We know it for a fact. People keep ordering it. But the reason I bring it up, it's coming to public at roughly 50 times trailing sales. The S&P 500 trades at 2.7 times, which, by the way, is the all-time high of how expensive stock the S&P 500 has been. By far, by the way, the all-time high. So we're watching this stuff develop where people are just in a mania. And the mania is caused by the Federal Reserve Board keeping rates abnormally low. This has totally screwed older people and in the middle class who don't own stocks, and enriched and made inequality of wealth much worse than ever before. Yet it's such a great Republican issue. The problem in America is this. We need to take some short-term hits, Jimmy, in order to have a strong, vibrant dollar, a strong, vibrant economy, a real strong economy. We have to take some short-term hits. Everybody out there listening has too much stuff, has bought too much out into the future because rates have been unrealistically low. All that will change. The question for everybody is this. Do you want it to change overnight when a bond auction fails? Do you want to have massive inflation that makes 1979 before Paul Volcker look like a joke? Which one do you want? Or do you want to just have some leader say, here's the truth. We're broke. And we're going to fix Social Security. Here's how we do it. It's $33 trillion in arrears. We're going to fix this. We're going to fix that. And we're going to run budget surpluses. And you don't have to worry about the dollar ever again. You don't have to worry about Bitcoin. You have to go into gold. We're going to have a strong U.S. dollar. And that's our policy. And it will produce massive investment for the next 30 years, which will produce massive savings. And the middle class will have real jobs. That's the message for Republicans going forward if they want to do it. I only send you DoorDash because as you lived through these, I lived through a mania. One was 1999, 2000. And I had run the focus list for Morgan Keegan, which in the Wall Street Journal was rated the best in the United States of America for stock picking. And I stopped doing it. And Alan Morgan, who I love dearly, one of the most, he didn't want me to. And the vice chairman didn't want me to. I said, no. This gig's over. I'm not a genius. We had 5 good years, but I'm not a genius. So I got out of it. And sure enough, from March of 2000 till 2009, the NASDAQ went from 5,000 to 1,200. And the seeds of all that are in here today, because you can't keep rates this low for that long without having some unusual things happen like inflation come back. And it's going to. But right now, we're all dependent upon, I guess, the modern monetary theory. The only thing that holds this all back so far has been who? Mitch McConnell. Mitch McConnell's trying to hold up all this money to make sure states don't get it. And if you have anything to do today, call Mitch McConnell and back him. I say this as a man who doesn't even like the guy because he attacked me when I ran for the Senate and helped defeat me. But he's actually done a good job on this as far as recently saying, well, if we do that, we do that. He's trying to hold off on some of this stuff because he knows, I think, the economy is recovering very, very quickly.
Steve Laffey, always a pleasure, my friend. SteveLaffey.com is your website. Do you realize, Steve, we have one more time together before we take time out for the holiday? That will be next Wednesday. One more time in 2020 together on the radio. The time flies by.
It really is incredible. You have a great show. You do such a great job with people overseas and the things that you do with the golf, and I'm just very appreciative to be your friend. And one more show, and then we're going to see what happens in 2021. And We always say to ourselves, Jimmy, could it be any worse? Could people act any stranger? If I see one more person with a damn mask walking down the street, I'm going to lose my mind. I've kept from like yelling at people, like, what's wrong with you? But we got to get out of the mask thing. And listen, as you all know, everybody knows, I got to do certain things for my daughter, who's actually, if you have a prayer for my daughter Sarah today, she's getting her pain pump out at the Children's Hospital in a couple of hours. It's a giant operation. I'm just, very nervous about it. But she's for it. She's for it. Everybody should get up and start fighting. And the president's at least fight. He should keep fighting to the end. Let the president fight to the end. No one's going to remember this stuff 3 years from now if he's in office and not office. Anyway, God bless you. You're a good man. Thank you, sir. Yeah, that is the real issue, guys. Like, I mean, how can we not grab a hold of some of these issues? And how can people who run the country just not have solutions? How do you write things and not say, and therefore we should do this? How can you be a Republican leader from Wyoming? Where, by the way, you're always going to get reelected, and not say, we're going to torture you, Chuck Schumer. We're going to torture you. You thought you were tough? We're way tougher. Not one of those people are ever getting through. Ever. Never getting through. Anyway, they won't do it. They won't balance the budget. And at some point, anyway, I got to go. Market's going to open. Look out for the CPI tomorrow. I'm just, if you hadn't gotten ready, as I told you in March, with commodities like I did, I can't help you.